It is a dim and gloomy setting. A girl can be seen sitting on the floor of the sidewalk just right outside of a cafe, ignoring the busy surroundings. She is contemplating something related to changing herself when a silhouette of a man approaches her. Her eyes begin to widen as she takes a clearer look. A blonde guy with a cap appears, and in his hands is a bottle of lemon soda. The scene shifts to a crowded school campus where students chatter around, talking about school stuff. Kai, the guy with the blonde hair, seems so popular among the students. Ayumi glanced at the bottle he was holding in his hands. It was his usual lemon soda. As they continue to talk about lemon water, a group of guys calls out to Kai, catching most of the students' attention. They mock his blonde hair, and it seems that they are challenging him. But Kai does not resist and faces the guys with no hesitation. Just when the guys are starting to make a fight, Kai shakes the lemon soda he is holding in an attempt to splash it into the guys. However, this does not go as planned, as they quickly dodge the drink and it splashes on a strange woman's face. The guys run, afraid to get in trouble. Ayumi instantly becomes concerned about the woman and asks if anyone has a towel with them. Meanwhile, the woman, while as wet as she can be, is more overwhelmed than angry. Having someone pay attention to her, moreover, concerned about her, is a foreign and strange thing she does not usually experience. Not knowing what to do, she just stands frozen while Ayumi continues to try and take care of her and urges Kai to ask for forgiveness. Kai apologized, though his words were insincere. It surely sent butterflies in the woman's stomach, and her face turned bright red. As she realizes that Kai is straightly looking at her, she finally comes to her senses, and instead of accepting the apology, she runs asking for forgiveness. Kai and his friends are left on the scene. Another friend of Kai notices the girl is kind of familiar. As it turns out, the girl's name is Uka. Uka does not have any good experiences in school, which explains why she behaved that way earlier. She has always been a subject of bullying, which is why she disgusts people. However, this time is different. It is Kai who splashes at her, and she can't help but feel happy about it. As she climbs up the stairs, heading towards her class, she's in deep thought. She thinks about the one thing she has always wanted, how she wants to have a cheerful high school life. Unfortunately, this dream of hers is far from becoming true and has not been achieved so far. As Mr. Abe, his instructor for the subject, enters the noisy and unorganized classroom, he calls the attention of the day leader, who then instructs the class to rise. Meanwhile, Uka anxiously hopes that he won't notice she is the only one wearing gym clothes. However, her hopes were dashed when Mr. Abe questioned why someone was out of uniform. However, before she could react, Mr. Abe mentioned Kai, only then noticing that Uka was also out of uniform. Without hesitation, Kai responds, explaining that they have been splashed with lemon soda. However, Uka finds this strange, as she can't recall Kai being caught in the splash as well. Looking back, she has a brief recollection of her memory with Kai. They do not go to the same junior high, but for some reason, she knows him even before she goes to high school. In the last winter of junior high, Kai's blonde hair reminds Uka of his favorite lemon soda. Uka's mom always asks her about school, and though she does not have the best time, her answers are always positive. Though her mother is glad to hear this, whenever she says something about friends in school, it makes Uka uneasy. Due to this, her father always tends to open the topic about transferring schools and how students from her school always stand out. But without any hesitation, Uka brushes off that idea, emphasizing how she likes going to that school. In Uka's mind, her parents are the reason why she winds up so easily. According to her, they are overprotective and their act of kindness spoils her. However, she decides she does not want to be like that anymore and wants to change herself for the better. True enough, the day after that, Uka goes to school as early as possible and tries to be enthusiastic toward others. Her first attempt at greeting others came out as a mere squeak. On her second attempt, she managed a proper greeting but was caught off guard when Kai entered the door. Clueless about how to react, Uka just stands there frozen. For a while, she wants to disappear from plain sight out of embarrassment, but to her surprise, Kai greets her good morning before proceeding to his seat. Uka became so shocked that it made her petrified she could not respond to whatever Kai said. Kai notices that Uka hasn't said a word, so he asks if she is ignoring him. With that, Uka's mind begins to spiral again. How could someone like Kai even talk to her, let alone greet her with a simple good morning? In class, Ayumi finds herself in deep trouble when she can't answer a question from Mr. Abe. However, that if she does not answer correctly, she will have to stay in the room until she does. The thought makes Ayumi fumble nervously. Sensing her struggle, Mr. Abe allows her to ask a friend for help, though he is certain that no one will be able to assist her. Uka, who can solve the problem, thinks about helping Ayumi, but is too shy to butt in. However, thinking about how Ayumi is kind to her and helps her when Kai splashes her with lemon soda, Uka gathers all her courage to help Ayumi. Surprisingly, she solves it correctly. The whole class cheers. For a while, Uka feels great about herself, receiving numerous praises from her classmates and recognizing her intellect. After the class is over, Ayumi goes to thank Uka for her help. She is even invited by Ayumi and Seto to come with them. But just when she thinks good things are about to happen, whispers can be heard from outside the room's window. A group of people recognizes Uka from junior high. They talk about why she chose to go to that university when she wanted to go to Shinsei High, a well-known school for intelligent people like her. They ridicule her by saying her intelligence is all she has, and yet she must have still failed the test. Then their conversation escalates to the part where they used to call her Stony because she's always staring into thin air and appears petrified around everybody. Upon hearing those words, Uka cannot stop herself from breaking down, shedding tears in front of her newfound friends. Not being able to resist everything that has been said against her, she runs away. The group laughs even after Uka leaves. Curiosity stirs up in them. After all, if Uka does not fail the Shinsei test, why would she choose to go to a third-rate safety school? Uka stands in a corner, the confidence she tries so hard to build shattering in one blow. But she tells herself that if she keeps thinking like that, nothing will change. I need to change. These are the words written in Uka's notebook as she spends time alone in the library. Little does she know Kai is actually in front of her. He coldly remarked how she obsesses over those words. He also advised her not to get so wound up by those words as it would only pressure her, making her curse herself. Though he says this coldly and arrogantly, it is as if Uka does not hear a thing and goes blank. Her mind is processing the fact that the one talking to her is Kai. As Kai is about to leave, Uka can't stop herself from saying sorry, though Kai particularly says not to apologize. Just like always, Uka does not know how to react. When Uka goes out, she finds her shoes in the trash. Her bullies are back at it again, and nothing has changed from before, and again, she just freezes, not having any reaction at all. She was about to cry when a voice from behind echoed. It was Kai, telling her to react, to seek help, but Uka only sighed. Who could she ever go to? If only Uka had passed the Shinsei exam, everything would have been better. She is told she should not have any problem getting into it because of her excellent records, but this is not the issue. Inside her heart, she still wants to go to Hachimitsu High. After all, she wants to change herself, not her environment. She flashes back to that one particular night when she is busy comparing catalogs from Shinsei High and Hachimitsu High. She bumps into her bullies, they laugh at her and say things about how lame Shinsei is, just like Uka. That's when her first meeting with Kai happens, her sitting on the sidewalk and him holding a bottle of lemon soda. He gets the catalog from the floor and shows her the one from Hachimitsu High, telling her that one suits her better and proceeds to say he's going there too. Then he leaves like nothing happened. At that time, Uka is astonished. How could someone she does not know show up and tell her she should pick a particular school? On the day of the Shinsei test, it is as if Uka's hands get frozen and she cannot move a single finger, so she goes to Hachimitsu High. Not sure if Kai remembers her, Uka does not put her hopes too high. Reality dawns upon Uka, and as she comes back to her senses, she realizes she needs to be brave. She goes to a vending machine where she gets a lemon soda similar to Kai's. As she walks through the pathways, her bullies try to bother her again, but unlike any other time, she comes prepared. She shakes the lemon soda and splashes it on their faces. She is pushed to the ground, and as she loses hope, Kai and his friends appear just in time. Voka is brought back to the previous conversation she had with Kai. Who could she ever ask for help from? It's him. One single threat from Kai, and the three bullies run off like scaredy cats. Kai tells her to stand up and stop cowering on the ground, especially on sidewalks. His last words light up her face. He remembers her. She mutters another apology, and as Kai turns to stop her, he is surprised to see her crying with a smile. Just like that, in the spring of freshman year, Uka's curse is broken, all because of that lemon soda. At their school campus, most of the girls are talking about Kai. He seems to be liked by everyone. Kai, Satoru Tomoya, and Ayumi can be seen talking a few meters away from the noisy group of girls admiring Kai from afar. Uka is following not far behind them. She rethinks everything that had happened yesterday. It also felt surreal, like some kind of dream. Uka can be seen placing something in her locker. While she's doing this, she notices Kai quietly standing near the stairs. Remembering her motive to try and change herself, she hesitantly tries to greet him, but her shaky voice prompts Kai to ask her to repeat herself. The second time, her voice comes out too loud, drawing everyone's attention. Ayumi, standing behind Kai with Satoru and Tomoya, responds with a cheerful greeting. Startled by this, Uka suddenly runs away. The group is left puzzled but doesn't try to stop her. When it's time for their PE class, Uka once again executes her famous petrified stance, a habit the group had heard about from her former bullies. She recalls how she needed to stand still every PE time to not get in the way of her classmates back in high school. Uka can now be seen nervously hovering. Kai and his friends notice this, so he decides to make a move. He whispers something to Ayumi, who, despite her hesitation, reluctantly agrees to go along with his plan. During their basketball game, Ayumi is the one holding the ball. A few teammates are waiting for her to pass it, but instead, she swiftly passes the ball to Uka. The gym is full of side comments and reactions from the team. Uka is frozen for a minute, but Ayumi cheers for her and encourages her to keep it going. Due to this, she takes a grip of the ball in her hand, dribbles it, and shoots. Not a single soul in the gym believes she is capable of such a move, given her petrified reputation in PE. Uka sees everyone's shocked faces, and this makes her a bit uncomfortable. She is about to apologize when everyone comes to cheer and praise her for just how good she is. The total opposite of the reaction she expects from her classmates and teammates. When Kai's friends ask if he knew about Uka's peculiar skill, he admits it was just a gut feeling. Meanwhile, Ayumi approaches Uka and explains that Kai had suggested passing the ball to her. For a while, she expresses concern, wondering if Uka dislikes being involved and fears it might make her seem like a bully. However, Ayumi reassures herself, saying she trusts that Kai wouldn't do anything to humiliate Uka. After their PE game, Kai heads to the vending machine to grab a drink. As he retrieves his drink, he overhears a conversation nearby and decides to listen in. It's Mr. Ishimori, Uka's father, speaking with one of the university teachers. Mr. Ishimori asks how Uka is doing, and the teacher responds with encouraging news, saying she's performing well in class. Later that day, her friends ask about her reason for choosing the school. She explains how students in Hachimitsu High seem to have fun and healthily enjoy their freedom. Uka's friends agree with her, praising Hachimitsu High as a perfect school for those who want to relax and enjoy while studying. Uka then shares a whimsical dream of sneaking into the school at night, longing for a life completely different from her past. However, her excitement is cut short when Kai bluntly tells her to give up, claiming she isn't capable of something like that. Ayumi immediately grows concerned by this, and the rest of the group is baffled by Kai's sudden harshness towards Uka. But before anyone can question him about it, two girls call for Kai to hang out, and he leaves the room without explaining himself. Uka, hurt by his words, becomes teary-eyed. Meanwhile, Kai's friends catch up to him and demand to know why he's being so rude to Uka. He brushes them off, saying she's just a pain. After Kai and his group leave, Uka remains in the empty classroom, replaying Kai's harsh words in her mind. Her thoughts are interrupted by a commotion coming from outside the building. Curious, she peers out the window and notices a group of troublemaking kids harassing an elderly person. Meanwhile, Kai and his friends, who also spot the scene, decide to investigate. As they approach, they stumble upon Uka's bullies. The three seem to be making a phone call and appear to be plotting something against Uka. When they notice him staring directly at them, their eyes widen in shock. Caught off guard, Kai abruptly turns and runs away without saying a word, leaving his friends behind, confused about his sudden retreat. Back in the classroom, Uka is about to go out when she hears someone yelling from outside. It's a man's voice looking for her. The voice slowly becomes louder and more aggressive as the man seems to get closer. Finally, the door opens and guys enter the empty classroom, their eyes scanning the room. However, Uka is nowhere to be seen. Uka remains silent, nervously hiding inside the podium, hoping they won't find her. However, after some time of thorough search, one of them finally opens the podium, revealing Uka huddled inside. One of the guys grabs Uka by the arm, roughly dragging her out of the podium. He sneers, saying it's all for his girlfriend. Uka struggles, panicking as she's being dragged toward the door, and just when she feels utterly helpless, a familiar voice echoes in her mind, urging her to ask for help. So with all of her courage, she shouts for Kai. In an instant, Kai appears, who without hesitation, knocks the guy to the ground with a swift move. Kai steps in to protect Uka. He grabs a desk and uses it to strike both guys. As they curl up in a corner, Kai gives them a menacing threat. Just then, Uka's bully arrives, shouting a warning about Kai. The two troublemakers, terrified, scramble to their feet and crawl up the door like frightened cats, regretting ever confronting him. After that fight, he tells Uka her dad would be very much concerned about her if he knew this. That's when she suddenly realized why he had been pushing her away. He was aware of how protective her father was and didn't want to cause unnecessary concern. Despite his cold and arrogant tone, Uka feels a sense of happiness, realizing that her dreams are starting to come true because of him. Though she struggles to process everything, Uka comes to a life-changing realization. She's fallen in love with Kai. Having never experienced romantic feelings before, the thought had never crossed her mind. The next day, everything feels back to normal. Class begins, but Kai is still asleep in his armchair with only a bottle of lemon soda sitting on his desk. As the teacher wakes him up and begins sharing stories with the class, Uka finds her thoughts drifting to Kai and his personality. However, she quickly pulls herself back, reminding herself that she doesn't know him well enough yet to make any assumptions about him. After class, Uka notices how Satoru compliments Ayumi's earrings. They are talking to each other and exchanging smiles. They obviously like each other, so Uka wonders if they are dating. Comparing the two of them to herself and Kai, she realizes Satoru and Ayumi have good chemistry. Meanwhile, Kai sees her as a nuisance, so she tells herself to avoid giving him trouble from now on. She then silently comes out of the room to go home, completely unnoticed by anyone as usual. While Luca is walking home, she comes across some students from her junior high school. They do not fail to insult her just like old times. Just then, she feels a hand playing with her hair. It's Tomoya, and with him is Kai, who seems to be fuming with anger. He scolds her for going home so early, and Tomoya tells her Kai wants to hang out with her after school. He wants to make her dreams come true. Despite worrying about what others might think, Uka decides to join them. When Tomoya asks about her curfew, Kai gets annoyed, saying it's already almost 5 o'clock and suggesting they do it another time. Their discussion heats up and turns into a minor argument, and out of nowhere, Uka blurts out the word "sorum." This makes Kai think she's mocking him, so he grows even more frustrated. Tomoya just laughs at this scene, unable to tell if they're getting along or arguing. Tomoya offers to walk Uka home, but Uka disagrees with them, saying they must be heading somewhere too. They are actually going to a karaoke where Ayumi and Satoru are already waiting, but Kai does not mind. He starts walking and tells her he will walk with her to the pedestrian bridge while Tomoya waits. As they walk, Uka thanks Kai for walking her home. The conversation soon shifts to her identity. Kai encourages her to step out of her comfort zone and stop acting like a stone. He points out that she's not bad at sports and believes she could discover more talents if she just gives things a try. Kai recalls the day they first met. Sure, he was the one to talk to her first and suggests she go to Hachimitsu High, but it was just a springboard. After all, Uka is still the one who decided to jump in and join the school for real. Kai tells Uka not to put herself down, reminding her that even if she sees herself as a stone, she's a gemstone. He encourages her to keep searching for her happiness as he guides her to the stairs leading to the other side of the road. Before completely climbing the stairs, Uka takes one last glance at Kai, telling him she has another dream she wants to accomplish. Although this one could be a hard thing to achieve, she wants to stop giving Kai any trouble. Kai steps up a few stairs, moving closer to Uka. After adjusting the cap, he brings up the word sorghum. Though he doesn't understand where it came from or why she said it, he just laughs before leaving. Before completely walking away, Kai takes a final glimpse at Uka. Uka, on the other hand, is now running her heart out while navigating the steps of the stairs. She puts Kai's words in her mind. She must keep moving forward and start being greedier. She's starting to find happiness now, so she must not stop. Everything he said truly took her breath away. To her, he's so precious that she feels unworthy of falling in love with someone like him. Yet the feelings have already taken root and there's no turning back now. Even when Uka sleeps, Kai seems to follow her in her dreams, reliving that moment when she and Kai had a beautiful moment on the pedestrian bridge. She wakes up to these dreams in the morning, feeling hot on her back. She covers her face with a blanket, realizing she will be thinking about it for quite some time. In class, the instructor comes in and announces that it is time to change the seating order. The room becomes full of noise, and everyone is excited to have their seats rearranged. However, Uka seems bothered by this, and she panics as she remembers she still has something she wants to tell Ayumi about. She once again recalls her moment with Kai, how he told her to move forward and be greedier for herself. Remembering his words motivated her. She clings to Ayumi's arms and then asks her to be her friend. Ayumi's shock reaction startles Uka for a second, but she is more surprised to know Ayumi is confused since she thinks they are already friends. This is a better response than what Uka expected. Ayumi felt bad, thinking she was wrong for considering Uka as her friend even before, but then she realized that with Uka, she needed to voice out these things. So she grabs Uka's hand and declares their friendship in class. Just when the moment is getting precious for Uka, her instructor arrives with a box in hand. It is time for them to draw lots and pick their seats. Upon opening their lots, Ayumi noticed that Satoru got the number 6, while she got the number 3. These two seats were far from each other. This is not what she hoped for, so she is saddened by this. However, Uka's seat is right beside Satoru, so she asks Ayumi to switch seats with her. She stands firm on her decision, refusing Uka's offer to switch seats, but Uka insists that she wants to sit in front of the teacher, so Ayumi, though for a bit, and accepts her offer. Everyone becomes busy finding their seats. Ayumi also settles in her seat beside Satoru when Uka notices her seat is in between Kai's and Tomoya's. Some of their classmates even tease Kai, saying he cannot sleep in class anymore now that he is seated in the front row. Uka's face instantly brightens upon knowing this, and she cannot keep her happiness. She starts laughing loudly, and Kai tells her to stop. The next day, Uka is filled with excitement when she enters the classroom and greets Ayumi a good morning. However, Ayumi finds it funny that Uka went all the way to the back just to say good morning to her. She cannot stop laughing because of this, and upon knowing this, Uka overthinks again. She wonders if what she did was weird. Yesterday, she just made a new friend and she changed seats. This made such an impact on her that now she can't look left or right. She is too uncomfortable to look at either Kai or Tomoya, and she tends to overthink everything, wondering if she looks just right for them. The teacher instantly notices Uka's discomfort, asking her if she would rather sit somewhere else. Kai tells her she does not need to change seats, so she stands up to say she's fine with her current seat. Once Uka sits down, a baffling question arises in the crowd. A classmate asks if Uka and Kai are an item. This, Uka instantly denies it, while Kai explains that he is just helping Uka to be more open since she does not know how to socialize. Another classmate then comments about how Uka isn't Kai's type. This makes Uka think about Kai's dating history, which she knows nothing about. She does not know what kind of people Kai likes. In fact, she does not know anything about him. But now that they are seated beside each other, she wants to use the opportunity to get to know him more. In regular classes, Uka notices how considerate Kei is when it comes to her, like speaking on behalf of the teacher for her to get what she needs. It truly makes her heart flutter whenever that happens. She continues to observe him in class. She's learning a lot of things about him already, like how good his penmanship is, or that he sleeps in class even if he is seated in the front row. One time, a teacher, pissed by his actions, attempts to throw an eraser straight at him, but even with his head kissing his armchair, he manages to raise his arm and catch the eraser that is set to hit him. The whole class claps to this stunt, even Uka herself, who is well known by the class to be someone who does not want classes to be disrupted. Due to this, everyone recognizes her to be just like them and loves to have fun. Kai also fuels their reactions by saying Uka is very impressive deep down, so they must consider getting to know her. Everyone loves this idea, and suddenly everyone seems to greet her and wants to be her friend. Uka is still as awkward as usual. Not knowing what to do, she bows her head, and everyone bursts out laughing at this reaction. Kai also laughs with them. Uka does not know what the most appropriate thing to do is, so she asks Kai, who tells her to just greet them back. However, even her greeting was so awkward that it just made them laugh even harder. Thinking Kai is teasing her, she panics, but Kai tells her that is enough for now. He already told the class she was impressive, so she better not let him down and start socializing with them. The next day, Uka decides she must give back the cap Kai made her borrow when he walked her home. However, she hears the faint chats her classmates are having while standing in the doorway. They are finding Kai, saying that he was just there a minute ago and just seems to disappear. They also mention how Kai has a habit of vanishing from time to time. This is one thing Uka also does not know about Kai yet, so she decides she must look for him too. Walking on the crowded pathways of the school, Uka does not see Kai anywhere. She reaches a dead end just beside the comfort room. In front of it is a dim room, and from the outside, a familiar sight can be seen. It is a bottle of lemon soda, which reminds her of Kai. The label on top says it's the storage room, and upon entering, she notices no one's there until she sees a pair of feet seeping through the back part of the room. Kai is there, soundly sleeping on a sofa with a blanket all over him. A voice of panic comes out of Uka, which probably startled Kai, so he sits up from his past position and gets his blanket away from his face. From the outside, the voices of their other classmates echoed. They were also searching for Kai, but he only seemed to be annoyed by this, so he asked Uka to lock the door. Kai tells her he does not always go there, but when he is sleepy, it is where he rests, especially during lunchtime. He also tells her it is the first time that anyone found him in that room, so he's impressed. Uka attempts to leave, but before she can, Kai asks the reason why she was looking for him, and Uka returns the cap she is carrying in her hand to Kai. Opening the bag, Kai notices a floral scent coming from it. He tells her it wasn't necessary to wash it, but Uka tells him that he's always wearing a cap, so she thinks it is important to him. Kai then tells her he wants to sleep, so she must wake him up before classes start. With this, Uka sits on the floor, staying until it's time for Kai to wake up, while also thinking about the different things she still does not know about Kai. Uka is in deep thought before Kai answers her, saying the bed head or the messy hair he has whenever he wakes up from being asleep is the main reason why he wears a cap. Upon saying this, Kai blushes, which makes Uka's heart flutter once again. Uka tries to stop herself, covering her face, but she just can't hide it. She laughs in front of Kai because of his stupid reason. Going back to the classroom, Kai faces dozens of questions from his classmates. He never tells them where he was, so it is a surprise to see Uka being with him. Kai tells them it can be exhausting to socialize every single time, so Uka panics at his remark, even that she stayed there with him the whole time, but Kai only answers how Uka feels like an inorganic substance. A classmate comes near Uka to ask her where Kai has been, but before she can even answer, Kai grabs her away from them and they continue walking into their classroom. While walking, Kai gestures to her to keep her mouth shut about it. With his hand on her back, she's feeling hot and seems to be falling even harder for him. A school trip was organized to welcome new students, and it is scheduled for this day. Uka is the center of everyone's attention because of her heavy backpack and the fact that she's wearing gym clothes. Ayumi comes near her and complimented how she looks. Students are also talking about this tree placement, which makes the sky look like a heart. Satoru tells Ayumi they should watch it together. At that moment, Uka stares suspiciously at them. So Ayumi drags her away and explains that Satoru is completely obtuse about romance and it means nothing. While waiting for their travel time, Uka notices Kai is being cold to other students. Then Uka realizes she is jealous because of how weird she dressed up that day compared to the other students. Trekking through the mountainous forest, Uka holds the catalog in her hand. She is the one taking the instructions while the other follows behind her. Compared to her life before where she was considered as nothing but a stone, she is happy to see that she is now the one to lead her friends. While they are trekking, a girl slips, so Kai grabs her hand to stop her from falling, but he does it so coldly that the girl says he is off the table for having so many rivals. Another girl mentions how everybody eventually goes through the Kai-crushing phase, but falling for Kai is like falling into an endless pit of despair. The girl who got Kai's cap is crushing over Kai when his friends say she should keep it because he has loads of it. They wonder why he started wearing them again. Uka is about to answer when Kai covers her mouth, telling her to keep it a secret, since she's the only one who knows. Luffy can't help but think why he trusted such a secret unto her. Lunchtime arrives and the class gathers in a flat area to eat. When Uka, together with her friends, is about to eat, a group of guys interrupts them, asking why the girls are staring at a pair of trees. Turns out it was the tree that made the sky look like a heart, which they were talking about a while ago. While the guys notice how Kai shows a poker face that says that thing is dumb, Satoru comes to his defense, saying he has been to one of those scenes with a girl before. Everyone could not believe it, but Kai is not denying it either, so it must be true. This made Uka extremely discouraged. After all, there are a lot of girls liking Kai, and she is no one compared to them. On the way back, the arrow for direction points to the right, and everyone else ahead of them turns in that direction. However, Uka thinks otherwise. Still, she does not do anything about it, and just thinks she may be overanalyzing things. As the trail gets darker, things get even worse when the rain starts pouring. Kai tells everyone to calm down, but others refuse to believe they are getting lost. While they ask Uka for confirmation, everyone starts to panic when Uka says they really may be lost. Overwhelmed by guilt, Uka separates from her class in the forest, determined to find the right path back. Kai, noticing her sudden departure, immediately chases after her. After wandering aimlessly, Uka begins to lose hope. Just as she stumbles, Kai catches up to her and prevents her from falling. Seeing the distress in her eyes, he quickly pulls her into a hug to calm her down. Before all this, the class was all together when they suddenly realized they were lost in the mountains. Some classmates blame Uka since she was the one holding the map most of the time. However, others defend her, arguing that they likely took a wrong turn despite following the marked trail. But Uka knew she was the reason why they took a wrong turn. Now, in an awkward position with Kai, Uka knocks Kai down. At first, he thinks she reacted out of shock, but in reality, she spotted something familiar. Staring at her tour guide, she recognizes a well-known landmark, a bridge standing right in front of them. A spark of hope ignites in her heart. Kai quickly gets up, pats Uka on the head, and gently instructs her to stay put while he gathers the others. With renewed energy, he rushes back to inform the class. Soon, everyone reunites near the bridge. Taking this moment, Nagano steps forward and sincerely apologizes to Uka for blaming her earlier. Uka forgives her without hesitation, but as she does, she notices Nagano shivering and sneezing from being drenched by the rain. Without a second thought, she hands her a towel to dry off. Kai realizes that Uka is probably tired and hungry herself. He offers her a bottle of lemonade, but admits he already took a few sips. Uka hesitates, unsure about sharing the same drink as Kai, and even more unsure about her growing feelings for him. Kai had always been a mystery to her, cold and distant one moment, kind and caring the next. Now looking at his warm and friendly face, her heart feels even more conflicted. Yet deep down, she knows that she is in love with him. Her thoughts are interrupted when a classmate excitedly asks if they found the heart-shaped sky. Uka and Kai glance upward and see it. The trees form a natural opening in the shape of a heart. To their immense relief, sunlight begins to peek through the canopy, signaling the end of the gloomy weather. At that moment, Uka realizes something important. No matter how difficult the situation, things can always turn around for the better. The class finally boards the bus home. As Uka gazes out the window, she catches sight of a rainbow stretching across the sky. A sense of peace washes over her. Despite the hardships of the trip, she looks forward to spending more days surrounded by her classmates. A sudden shift beside her pulls her from her thoughts. Kai slides into the seat next to her, seemingly uninterested in the lively chatter at the back of the bus. Without hesitation, he leans against her, resting his head on her shoulder. Heat rushes to Uka's face as she finds herself frozen in place. A nervous yet undeniable warmth blossoms in her chest. The uncertainty of her growing feelings lingers in her mind, the fear of inevitable heartbreak gnawing at her. But for now, she chooses to embrace the comfort of the moment. Once back home, Uka returns the borrowed backpack to her father, confirming that she has, despite everything, enjoyed the trip. The next morning, stepping into the classroom, she stops in her tracks. Her desk is covered in what appears to be trash. Confusion grips her until she takes a closer look. An assortment of snacks and small gifts fill the surface of her desk. Some of her female classmates gathered around as they thanked her for ensuring their safe return and for looking after everyone when things had seemed hopeless. The unexpected gesture leaves her momentarily speechless before a wave of gratitude washes over her. Where the class was resting under the bridge, they were stunned to see that Uka's bag was filled with supplies, snacks, first aid kits, and other essentials. She had been carrying all of it for them the entire time. Kai then arrives and notices the small mountain of gifts on her desk but tells her that he didn't get her anything. To her, he has already given her something far more meaningful, his presence. A sudden call from across the room shifts her focus. One of her classmates eagerly shows her a photo on her phone, the heart-shaped sky she had captured during the trip. Overnight, the post had gathered over 300 likes, spreading further than she had expected. Another classmate named Yuru then shows another image on her own phone, a photo of a boy with black hair and striking gold eyes. The admiration from her classmates is almost immediate as they wonder who he might be. Yuru then surprises them by saying the boy Kai in middle school sporting black hair since dye was not yet allowed. Curiosity takes over as the conversation shifts toward past school days. Talks of graduation albums surface and plans are made to bring them in to reminisce since most of them belong to different middle schools. Unexpectedly, Uka finds herself included in the request. The others expressed interest in seeing her middle school life, eagerly anticipating what her past had been like. There is a sudden shift in her demeanor and some of her friends seem to notice. Even Kai, quietly listening nearby, is aware of the unease creeping into her thoughts. Later that evening, Uka searches through her belongings to find her middle school graduation album. Before agreeing to show the graduation album, she was suddenly struck by her memories of her first days at this high school. She recalls how some classmates knew about her past and were cold to her. Upon finding her middle school graduation album, Uka feels a mix of emotions. In truth, she had never even opened it since receiving it. A part of her worries about how she might look in the photos, but as she flips through the pages, relief washes over her. Her pictures seem passable, nothing embarrassing, and she deems it safe enough to share with her friends. The next day, excitement buzzes through the classroom as students flip through each other's yearbooks, eager to see how their classmates used to look. Laughter fills the air as Uka joins them, and they soon discover that Tomoya, Satoru, and Ayumi were once middle school classmates. As they continue browsing, someone points out a girl named Serena, and Uka finds her familiar, as she is in the same class as Kai. Looking at Kai's pictures, they notice he already had his signature blonde hair and the same perpetually bored expression. As Uka quietly observes the conversation, the weight of her past settles heavily on her shoulders, and without a word, she quietly slips away from the group. Kai notices her abrupt departure and follows. He finds her on the rooftop, clutching her graduation album tightly. Without hesitation, he strides over and plucks the book from her hands. Flipping through the pages, he stops at her photos and casually remarks that she looks perfectly normal. He can't understand why she ran away over something so trivial. Uka hesitates before correcting him. It's not the photos that bother her. It's the emptiness of her past, the absence of anything worth remembering. She had chosen to forget it entirely. In the classroom, their classmates were fondly talking about middle school memories, each person eagerly sharing funny or nostalgic moments. But as the stories unfold, Uka felt a quiet realization creeping over her. She has nothing fun to contribute. Without sugarcoating his words, he reminds her that her past, good or bad, shaped who she is today. It's not something she should cast aside like garbage. He reassures her that their classmates don't see her the way she fears. They're grateful to her, not judging her. He then holds up a slightly embarrassing picture of her from the album and asks if he can show it off to the others. Uka gathers her courage and asks for the book back, deciding to show it herself. Kai hands it to her, but places a small lemon candy on top as well, a quiet, subtle thank you gift from him. As she watches him walk away, a newfound sense of encouragement fills her chest. The past, once so terrifying, suddenly feels a little less daunting. Determined, she heads back to the classroom, but before she can enter, Tomoya stops her, urging Marin to speak up. Marin hesitates before finally admitting that she was the one who switched directions during a field trip, causing the entire class to get lost. A flicker of jealousy had driven her actions, particularly over Uka's growing bond with Kai. Though her tone remains indifferent, she promises not to do it again before walking away. Tomoya offers a quiet apology for Marin's sharp words, but Uka remains unfazed. Instead, she wonders why everyone assumes that she and Kai are close. Tomoya raises an eyebrow before clarifying that they are close even if Uka refuses to see it. Their bond has become obvious to others, and because of that, she may attract resentment from those who dislike seeing them together. Uka finds herself at a loss for words as Tomoya continues. He predicts that Uka might have been happier if she and Kai had never become friends. While there's no denying that Kai helped her open up, his presence has also brought unwanted attention. Tomori worries that Uka relies too much on Kai, that she hesitates to move forward without him pulling her along. A sudden wave of doubt crashes over Uka. Unable to process everything, she turns and runs toward her classroom. Just as she reaches the door, she overhears the boys discussing Kai's past. They're pressing him about Serena. The way they speak is almost as if they're convinced Kai and Serena used to date. Kai, however, refuses to respond, his silence only fueling their assumptions. Uka feels her heart sink. The idea that Kai might have had feelings for another girl stirs emotions she isn't prepared to confront. Suddenly, the urge to share her past, to face her classmates, disappears. Before she realizes it, her feet carry her in the opposite direction. She rushes to the restroom, wiping away the tears before anyone can see them. Just as she regains her composure, steps out and makes her way back. As she reaches the staircase, she notices a phone falling down and she quickly catches it. As she looks at it, Kai's face is on the home screen. She looks up and sees Serena at the top of the stairs, offering a relieved smile as she thanks Uka for catching her phone. At home, Uka's mother tends to her. The stress and exhaustion have finally caught up to her, and she's developed a fever. Her mother tells her that a friend named Ayumi called to check in, handing Uka the phone. Expecting to hear Ayumi's voice, Uka is startled when Kai speaks instead. He explains that Ayumi had wanted to hang out. The moment he hears her cough over the phone, his tone shifts, telling her to rest and recover quickly. His concern surprises her, but she feels warmth spreading through her chest. She thanks him along with Ayumi for thinking of her during their break. For the first time in a long time, she feels truly included. As she talks, she notices that her classmates are nearby. She opens the window and is greeted by the sight of Ayumi, Kai, and the others waiting for her at the window. Kai reminds her to take care of herself so they can all see her at school tomorrow. The next day, Uka returns to class, and the students eagerly gather around to look at the photos from their hiking trip. They notice that both Uka and Kai appear expressionless in most of their pictures. However, the class notices that whenever the two are near each other, their expressions soften. Satoru gets Kai's attention, showing him a candid photo of him and Uka. Kai studies the image for a moment before shoving the photo back. He simply comments that Uka looks cute when she's smiling. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, Ayumi is the first to catch on that Uka must have a crush on Kai. Ayumi grins and reassures her that she fully supports her. However, she also acknowledges that Uka and Kai may have a difficult road ahead of them. Despite her embarrassment, Uka feels an overwhelming sense of happiness. It's comforting to know she has a friend who takes her feelings seriously. One morning, as Uka makes her way to school, she catches murmurs from groups of students admiring Serena, who walks a short distance ahead. Serena has been a subject of fascination since their entrance ceremony. Her striking beauty, effortless grace, and the persistent rumor that she once dated Kai make her a topic of frequent conversation. Uka watches her from afar, wondering about the truth behind the rumors. She also wonders what kind of girl she is since Kai was once interested in Serena. Her curiosity lingers throughout the morning, though it is soon overshadowed by the excitement buzzing in the classroom. The school festival is fast approaching, filling the air with enthusiasm. But with the festival comes the dreaded midterms. The weight of exams looms over the students like a dark cloud, reminding them that they must survive tests before they can enjoy the festivities. Yumi groans in frustration at the mere thought of their upcoming math exam. She slumps over her desk, grammatically declaring her impending doom. It's her worst subject, and she didn't even bother taking notes in class. Uka offers her notes and suggests studying together, hoping to be a true friend to Ayumi. To her surprise, this simple offer ropes her into a newly formed study group with Ayumi, Satoru, and even Kai. The four of them end up at a family restaurant after school to get some studying done. Ayumi and Satoru head off to get drinks, leaving Uka alone at the table with Kai. She fidgets, unsure of what to say. A part of her wants to ask about Serena, but she hesitates, figuring the subject might be sensitive to bring up. Before she can decide, the doors to the restaurant swing open and Serena enters with some of her female classmates. Almost instantly, Serena's friends notice Kai. Despite the uncomfortable expression on Serena's face, they'd waste no time swarming their table, launching questions at Kai about his relationship with her. Ayumi and Satoru attempt to lighten the mood by offering to switch seats, hoping it will stop the girls from verbally attacking their group, but Serena's group refuses to back off. When they realize Kai isn't taking the bait, they shift their focus to Uka instead. They mock her, calling her gullible and airheaded, especially after Uka admits she has a 5 p.m. curfew. Just as Uka feels her stomach twist with unease, something unexpected happens. Serena grabs a drink and without hesitation throws it at her so-called friends. Serena glares at them, her voice sharp and unwavering as she scolds them for their behavior. She tells them all for pushing people too far, making it clear that she has had enough of their toxic attitude. Humiliated and furious, the girls storm out. Serena exhales relieved that she can finally cut ties with them. She never liked their behavior, even in class, and she's glad to be rid of them. Now that the tension has dissipated, she turns back to Uka and offers a small smile. They exchange quick apologies, hoping to be able to meet again in better circumstances. As Serena leaves, Uka watches her with newfound admiration. Despite the rumors and assumptions people had about her, Serena is kind. She stood up for Uka without hesitation, much like Kai would. The next day at school, the girls Serena had cut ties with decide to take their revenge by dousing her in cold water. They taunt Serena, claiming she should have been grateful for their acceptance. After all, they were the ones who let her into their circle. Serena, dripping wet, maintains fierce eye contact with them. She reminds them that they were the ones who clung to her, hoping that by standing beside her, boys would finally notice them. Uka rushes forward just as the hand swings down, placing herself between Serena and the girls. The slap lands on her cheek, sending a sharp sting through her skin. She tells Serena not to worry before turning her attention to the bullies and defends Serena for being a good friend. Kai steps in, his presence alone shifting the tension as he playfully leans on Uka's head. His expression remains calm but firm as he points out how bad it looks for them to be bullying Uka in front of everyone. Some boys from their class step in, dragging the girls away before they can escalate the situation further. Kai moves away from Uka and drapes his uniform jacket over Serena. He reminds her that she can just call him whenever there's trouble. Serena clutches the jacket, seemingly unsure of how to react. As Kai walks away, she moves to follow him. Uka remains frozen, watching the two of them. She suddenly feels a mix of doubt, worry, and something she can't quite place. The urge to ask about Serena's relationship with Kai is gnawing at her. The next day, Uka, Ayumi, and Satoru are assigned as greeters alongside Kai, who arrives late. As they welcome students, Uka notices Serena standing by the stairs, surrounded by the same girls from the previous day. They act overly friendly toward her, smiling as if nothing happened. When they see Uka, they quickly apologize for their previous actions before entering the school. Uka blinks in confusion, wondering why they're suddenly docile. Serena notices that Uka seems lost, so she explains that the girls always do this. They may be mean, but they aren't completely terrible. She promises to be kinder to them, but is relieved they at least apologize to Uka. Serena approaches Kai, wanting to talk to him about the Parker he lent her. In class, Yuru stares at Uka intently before suddenly declaring that she would look good in a ponytail. Before Uka can react, Yuru gathers her hair and ties it up. Her classmates, unused to seeing her like this, begin to gather around her table in admiration. Uka feels flustered, unsure when she last changed her hairstyle. Even Kai stares and says that she is doing fine without him, making friends on her own now. Uka feels troubled by his words, interpreting them as him wanting to distance himself. During class, the atmosphere is lively as everyone crams for the upcoming exams. Some classmates joke with the teacher, claiming they don't have any notes, playfully asking everyone to give them some material they can use to review. During their break, Uka tries to offer her notes to her classmates, thinking they are serious about not having any. However, they wave her off with laughter, explaining that it was all a joke. They never intended to study in the first place. Embarrassed for misreading the situation, she lowers her gaze, her ears tinted red. Across the room, Kai watches her quietly. She spends the rest of her break lost in thought, questioning the meaning of fun. It's something she has yet to fully grasp, something she hopes to experience one day. As she wanders the school, her steps slow when she hears a group of students questioning Kai about Serena. With his usual indifference, he remains silent, refusing to entertain their curiosity. The lack of response only fuels their speculation about the reasons behind their rumored breakup. Uka, unable to resist her own curiosity, lingers for a moment. As if sensing her presence, Kai suddenly looks up, locking eyes with her. She immediately starts walking, not wanting to bother Kai's time with his friends. The thought of Serena's significance in Kai's life settles heavily in her chest. There are sides of him that Serena has seen, and Uka believes she will never know of those. Before she can fully process her emotions, a firm grip on her wrist stops her. Startled, she turns to find Kai standing behind her, claiming that he is sleepy. He leads her into a quiet storage room, seeking a peaceful place to nap. He casually assigns her the role of waking him up when the bell rings before closing his eyes. Uka begins to wonder if he thinks of her as an alarm clock, but ultimately decides that she's at least useful to Kai. Kai unexpectedly asks about the slap she received earlier. His concern catches her off guard, and when he reaches out to touch her cheek, she tenses at the unexpected contact. Her face grows warm, her heart racing at the unfamiliar sensation. Kai, seeming amused by her reaction, closes his eyes again and settles in for his nap. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Uka quickly leaves, completely unaware that Kai is actually awake. As she walks aimlessly, she tries to convince herself that she is overreacting. She tells herself that Kai's concern is nothing special, that he does not see her in any meaningful way. She crosses paths with Serena and her group. The girls are searching for Kai, but Uka denies knowing his whereabouts. As the group moves on, Serena lingers behind, giving Uka a knowing look. With a quiet remark, she makes it clear that she sees through Uka's lie and even manages to guess Kai's location. Uka looks at her with nothing but admiration, realizing how close she and Kai really were back in middle school. The two end up talking about Kai, sharing small details about his sleeping habits. Serena, noticing the familiarity between them, insists that Uka call her by her first name. Despite the warmth of this new friendship, Uka cannot shake the feeling of inadequacy. Serena is strong, confident, and well-liked, someone who seems to effortlessly stand out. Compared to her, Uka feels insignificant, just another person Kai happens to rely on for convenience. Serena's gaze remains fixed on Uka, a look of disbelief settling on her face. It takes Uka a moment to realize that she has once again fallen into self-deprecating thoughts. The habit is difficult to shake, and Serena's silent scrutiny only makes her more aware of it. Before she can say anything, a group of Serena's classmates calls out to her, waving her phone in the air. The screen is illuminated with a familiar image. They approach, teasing Serena about still having his picture saved. As if on cue, Kai appears, descending the stairs with his usual composed demeanor. The group immediately shows Serena's phone to Kai, encouraging him that they should get back together. Yuru interrupts the moment, claiming to have the same picture on her phone. She explains that there's a rumor about keeping Kai's photo as a good luck charm. According to superstition, saving a picture of someone with a trait you admire supposedly allows you to gain that trait yourself. The idea sparks excitement within the group, and suddenly, everyone begins listing the people they should save photos of, debating whose qualities they want to emulate. When the attention shifts to Uka, however, the mood takes an unexpected turn. Kai, without hesitation, blurts out a series of blunt observations about Uka's timid nature. The words sting, and Uka lowers her head, feeling small under his scrutiny. But then, just as suddenly, Kai's tone shifts. He begins listing all of her admirable traits. His words catch her completely off guard, leaving her speechless as she stares at him in disbelief. As the group gradually disperses, Kai reaches out, resting a hand on Uka's head. He calls out to Yuru, instructing her to style Uka's hair the same way in the future. He casually remarks that he's grown fond of it. The warmth of his touch lingers, and before Uka can fully process what's happening, her legs give out beneath her. She kneels on the ground, overwhelmed, her chest tightening with unfamiliar but undeniable emotions. She realizes with absolute certainty that she is in love with Kai. The sensation of being in love, holding these feelings close, fills her with warmth even as she struggles to contain it. With midterms finally over, the class attention is called to select a committee leader for the upcoming school festival. The position requires confidence, decisiveness, and the ability to take charge, qualities Uka has never associated with herself. But as she sits among her classmates, a quiet determination builds within her. For once, she wants to take a step forward, so she raises her hand. Lifting her hand high, Uka finally steps out of her comfort zone, eager to embrace something new. Her classmates stare at her in surprise, murmuring among themselves. While they admire her enthusiasm, some can't help but feel concerned about whether she can handle the role. Uka has always been airheaded, often struggling with simple concepts, and many doubt her ability to lead such an important project. However, when Kai casually reassures her, the mood shifts. His words carry weight, and gradually, the class warms up to the idea of having Uka as an executive committee member. With their initial doubts set aside, the room erupts into excited chatter as they begin throwing around ideas for the upcoming school festival. At home, Uka's parents are overjoyed to hear that she is taking an active role in school. They note that she seems much happier now than she ever was in middle school. Their encouragement fills Uka with a sense of pride, reinforcing her determination to do her best. The next day, while riding her bike back to school, Uka struggles to maintain control as she speeds downhill. The wind rushes past her, panic rising in her chest as she realizes she's going too fast. Just as she braces for impact, Kai appears out of nowhere and manages to stop her bike. Though she avoided injury, she accidentally dropped the cardboard she had collected for the festival, sending it scattering across the pavement. Meanwhile, back at school, some of Uka's female classmates grumble about her decision to set up a maid cafe for their festival activity. They are frustrated that she asked them to gather cardboard without explaining its purpose. Their complaints grow louder until a student from another class overhears them. The other students inform them that Uka had to submit and present a detailed proposal and compete against other classes to secure the cafe theme. The realization hits them hard. They had severely underestimated the effort Uka put into making this happen. Because she is usually so timid, they never considered that she had fought for something on their behalf. Now, they feel guilty for doubting her leadership. Back with Uka and Kai, they finally manage to gather the scattered cardboard and haul it back to school. As they rest, Kai talks about how he never simply follows others, but instead makes his own rules based on what he believes is right. Listening to him, Uka realizes that Kai isn't just confident, he's firm in his decisions, doing what he thinks is best, even if it goes against the norm. Because he is both popular and kind, people naturally follow him. It is thanks to him, after all, that she has started making small steps toward change. Kai suddenly gets up to leave, but before he does, he reminds her that moving forward, she must also create her own rules, especially now that she is an executive committee member. His words linger in her mind, pushing her to take her role more seriously. Determined to take responsibility, Uka makes another trip to the store alone to pick up more cardboard. As she reaches the same steep hill from earlier, she once again struggles to control her bike. The wheels wobble, her balance slips, and before she knows it, she crashes onto the ground. The cardboard she worked so hard to collect scatters around her once again. Uka begins to question whether all her efforts are truly worth it. Just as doubt starts creeping in, a familiar voice calls out her name. Tao, one of the girls who had previously complained about her, rushes up to her, concern etched across her face. She had witnessed Uka's crash and seemed genuinely worried. Before Uka can respond, Nagano and Mocha appear as well, their expressions filled with guilt. They quickly kneel beside her, offering to help with school festival preparations. Uka stares at them in disbelief, still processing their unexpected kindness. However, Uka, struggling to keep a straight face, shows a weird expression on her face. The others soon burst into laughter, their relief transforming into a shared moment of joy. Uka, once unsure of her place among her classmates, feels a warmth growing within her. She looks forward to doing more work for the festival, now knowing she isn't alone. The next day, she organizes a meeting to finalize the cafe's menu. Some of her classmates groan, thinking it's a hassle, but their complaints wane when they notice Uka's enthusiasm. As they brainstorm menu options, more girls join in, excitedly sharing their favorite cafe treats and debating what would best fit within their limited budget. Uka listens in awe, overwhelmed by the support pouring in. She never imagined that so many people would take an interest in something she initiated. The following day, attention shifts to designing costumes for the cafe staff. Given their budget constraints, they need to find a way to make costumes for everyone without excessive spending. Despite the challenge, Uka's classmates work together, sharing ideas and materials. With the festival rapidly approaching, more and more classmates pitch in, their initial doubts replaced by motivation. Though some express concern over whether they can finish everything in time, the shared sense of teamwork fuels their determination. Uka is ecstatic. Each passing day strengthens her bond with her classmates, and she feels more connected to them than ever before. As preparations continue, Ayumi stops by the classroom, apologizing for not helping as much. Her club is scheduled to perform a dance routine inspired by a famous pop idol group, demanding most of her time. At hearing that Ayumi is going to perform, Satoru casually remarks that Ayumi actually resembles one of the idols. Flustered, Ayumi looks away, embarrassed, since she had deliberately styled herself after that particular idol, knowing Satoru is a fan. As Ayumi and Satoru leave, the girls in the class start whispering, speculating that the two might end up as a couple by the time the festival arrives. Hearing her classmates discuss budding romances, Uka finds herself wondering about her own feelings for Kai. Later, while running another errand for the cafe, Uka's thoughts drift as she spots Kai and Serena talking by the school field. The two of them look effortlessly good together, and Uka can't help but feel an ache in her chest. So caught up in her emotions that she fails to notice that she has accidentally wandered into the middle of another class's filming project. Luckily, she gets out of frame when her classmates call out to her, needing her for something. As Uka continues her work, her thoughts drift back to Kai. He always seems so bright, effortlessly standing out. Yet as she looks in front of her at her newfound friends, she realizes that her own world has become bright as well. She is no longer alone, no longer trapped in the quiet shadows she used to dwell in. As she retreats down the hallway, Kai's gaze unconsciously follows her. Before they can dwell on it further, an older student calls their attention, signaling that it's time to resume filming. Every year, a special video is produced featuring the most captivating students on campus, highlighting their presence in a way that commands attention. With the school festival just a day away, Uka stays late in the classroom, ensuring that every last detail is accounted for. As she carefully adds the finishing touches to the blackboard, a quiet but firm resolution settles within her. Tomorrow, she will confess her feelings to Kai. The next morning, the festival bursts to life. The school grounds hum with activity, adorned with vibrant decorations and filled with the buzz of excited chatter. In Uka's classroom, her classmates arrive to find an intricate blackboard illustration she had completed overnight, its artistic details capturing their admiration. Though momentarily in awe, their attention quickly shifts to the growing crowd outside their cafe's entrance, signaling the start of a busy day. The cafe becomes an instant success. The carefully planned menu, combined with the appeal of the made costumes, draws in waves of eager customers. Initially assigned to the kitchen, Uka suddenly finds herself pulled into serving when the staff becomes overwhelmed. Though hesitant about wearing the maid uniform, she steps into the role with determination, navigating between tables and greeting customers with a mixture of enthusiasm and nerves. However, as the constant social interactions begin to exhaust her, her classmates insist that she take a short break, reminding her to resume maid duties after she has rested. Stepping outside the bustling classroom, she inhales deeply, allowing herself a moment of peace. The overwhelming sense of accomplishment settles within her. As she wanders through the festival, a group of students rushes past, eager to watch Full and Cool, the highly anticipated video showcasing the most admired students on campus. Drawn by curiosity, Uka finds herself merging into the crowd, anticipation building as the presentation begins. The screen flickers to life, displaying a montage of confident introductions. Uka watches as Serena appears on screen, her presence effortlessly poised and captivating. Then Kai's segment plays. Uka is shocked that he introduces himself as in charge of Ishimori, her name. She is embarrassed that Kai had mentioned his caretaker roles so casually, but she ponders on its meaning. The meaning behind them eludes her, but a warmth spreads through her chest, unfamiliar yet exhilarating. The sensation barely has time to settle before she finds herself surrounded. A group of strikingly attractive girls encircles her, their expressions laced with curiosity as they ask her exact relationship with Kai. She tries to explain that Kai is somewhat of a caretaker to her, and the girls get the idea that once Uka is independent, Kai will no longer pay any attention to her, so they leave her, satisfied that Uka isn't special to Kai. The words of the girls from earlier still linger in her mind, creating a dull ache in her chest. She wants to believe that their bond is more than just a temporary attachment, but she can't silence the doubts creeping in. Kai finds her, and his sharp gaze settles on her immediately, sensing something is off. He steps closer, kneeling beside her, and presses his hand against her forehead, noting that she's slightly warm but not sick. Eventually, Uka musters the courage to speak, mentioning that she saw the video featuring him, so Kai simply reassures her by saying that he'll look after her. For now, his words confirm her fears rather than ease them. If there's a for now, then there's also an inevitable until when. If she were to confess her feelings, would it speed up that timeline? Would he distance himself from her if he didn't feel the same? She realizes she isn't ready for that, so instead of confessing, she thanks him and she vows to talk to him more in the future. Outside the storage room, muffled voices drift through the door. Some girls are talking about them, dismissing her as too timid, too small, too insignificant to ever be by Kai's side. Before she can even react, Kai suddenly stands, yanks the door open, and steps out, gripping her hand tightly in his own. The chatter immediately dies as he leads her through the hall, making it clear to everyone that he isn't ashamed to be seen with her. Later, Tomoe confronts Kai, scolding him for drawing unnecessary attention to himself and Uka. He warns that rumors will spread, but Kai remains unbothered, only left with thoughts of what to do next regarding his growing feelings for Uka. Meanwhile, the festival carries on, with Ayumi taking center stage during her club's performance. Satori stands among the crowd, his eyes never leaving Ayumi, and cheers her on the loudest. Backstage, Uka overhears Serena arguing with another student. Apparently, she's backing out of an onstage interview, unwilling to participate. Sensing the tension, Uka steps forward and offers to take Serena's place, reasoning that the other participants deserve their time to shine. During the interview segment, the host gets a little too familiar, making playful remarks about Uka's maid outfit. The crowd laughs, but Uka shifts uncomfortably under the attention. Before she can react, Kai appears from the sidelines, pulling the host away from her without hesitation. She protests, insisting that she doesn't need his help all the time, even though deep down, she treasures the moments when he steps in for her. Kai, however, responds by promising to look after her forever. There's an unmistakable weight to his words, something deeper than his usual teasing remarks. The realization sends her heart racing. As the day comes to an end, Tomoe confronts Kai once again, reminding him of the consequences of his actions. This time, Kai doesn't brush it off. Instead, he admits that he might actually like Uka. The atmosphere in the school buzzes with excitement as Class 1B gathers around the bulletin board, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had done the impossible, winning an award for their class project at the school festival. It was the first time the freshman class had ever achieved such a feat, making the victory all the more significant. Cheers erupted among the students, and their homeroom teacher, beaming with pride, promised to treat them to a meal as a reward for their hard work. As the class celebrates, Uka finds herself at the center of their praise, with her classmates crediting much of their success to her dedication and leadership. Though overwhelmed by the attention, she can't help but feel a deep sense of fulfillment. In the midst of the lively chatter, Kai watches Uka silently, his expression unreadable. While everyone else basks in the moment, he seems lost in thought. After their teacher treats them to a meal, the class decides to continue the celebration by heading to a karaoke lounge. However, their excitement dims when they remember Uka's strict 5 p.m. curfew. She quickly reassures them that they should go on without her, knowing that there will be plenty more chances for her to hang out with them in the future. As she walks home alone, she is surprised when Kai catches up to her. He offers to accompany her part of the way, and as they walk, he suggests a quick detour to the arcade, noting that she still has time before her curfew. Uka readily agrees, admitting that she has always wanted to visit an arcade but never had the courage to enter one alone. Kai laughs at her confession, clearly amused, and she suddenly becomes aware of how much his attitude toward her has softened in recent days. There is an ease between them that wasn't there before, and as they walk side by side, she can't shake the feeling that high school will be filled with even more moments like this, adventures shared with Kai and her growing circle of friends. The next day at school, Serena overhears students gossiping about her and Kai, claiming that they are still dating. Frustrated, she loudly corrects them, making it clear that their relationship ended long ago. A friend teases her, asking why she and Kai should just get back together, but before Serena can respond, a group of girls approaches her with unfriendly expressions. One of the girls, visibly angry, accuses Serena of being the reason her friend's boyfriend finds her cute. She demands that Serena do something about it, though Serena is baffled by the accusation. There is nothing she can do about someone else's feelings, nor does she have any interest in the boy in question. However, the girls refuse to listen, their irritation growing into something more dangerous. Just as tensions rise, Uka and her friends notice the confrontation and rush to Serena's side. The presence of more people causes the group of girls to hesitate. Though they ultimately back down, they leave a warning. If their friends' relationships fall apart because of Serena, they will make her school life miserable. Kai, who had overheard the threat, immediately took action. Meanwhile, Ayumi and Uka check on Serena, asking about what just happened. With a sigh, Serena reveals that this isn't a new problem. Her popularity has often made her a target of jealousy, and the girls who confronted her have had issues with her since middle school. The one who grabbed her had been her classmate back then, notorious for bullying other girls whenever one of her friends' relationships started to get rocky. Serena had once intervened when she was harassing another student, and from that moment on, she became a target herself. The experience had been isolating. Most people chose to avoid her to avoid becoming targets themselves. The only exception had been Kai, who, despite everything, had made sure she was never completely alone. Despite maintaining a good relationship with Kai, Serena had always made efforts to befriend her other classmates. However, the distance between them never truly disappeared. No matter how hard she tried, people still continued to avoid her, wary of the rumors and jealous whispers that followed her wherever she went. There was one particular incident that stood out in her memory. During the holidays, their class had planned an outing, but Serena had not been invited. What surprised her was Kai's decision not to go either. When she asked him about it, he simply told her he didn't want to leave her alone. And then, without warning, he had leaned in and kissed her. That moment had changed everything. It was then Serena realized that even if the rest of the world rejected her, she would be fine as long as Kai remained by her side. But that fragile sense of security shattered the moment Kai was absent from school one day. The whispers had already begun in the class, and she overheard students planning something. Fear surged through her, and without thinking, she rushed toward the school gate. To her immense relief, she found Kai just entering, late but present. The tension in her body unraveled so suddenly that her legs gave out beneath her, and she collapsed. It was at that moment that she came to a stark realization. She had become too dependent on Kai, and worse, he had probably figured it out too. Finishing her story, Serena lets out a sigh. She insists that things are different now. She has grown and she can stand up for herself without needing Kai or anyone else. Then she finally tells them the real reason she broke up with him. The rumors had started long before she even thought about it. Some students speculated that Kai was only with her out of pity, that he had never truly loved her. Serena had always prided herself on not listening to gossip, but the more she thought about it, the more she realized that she didn't really know Kai as well as she thought she did. And worse, she had already built her entire world around him. So one day, she made a choice. She ended things before she could become someone who needed him more than he needed her. Serena glances at Uka, uncertain of her reaction. A part of her fears that Uka, who clearly admires Kai, might resent her for breaking his heart. But to her surprise, Uka says that she still admires her. There is no anger, no judgment, only acceptance. Serena admits that she no longer has feelings for Kai, but Uka isn't fooled. With a small smile, Uka acknowledges that she's aware Serena loves Kai. Serena stares at her in disbelief, astonished at Uka's realization. Just then, one of the teachers arrives, accompanied by another student. They promise to ensure that Serena won't be bullied anymore, reassuring her that things will be different from now on. Uka feels a wave of relief knowing that Serena will be safe. She voices her thoughts aloud, mentioning that Serena has so many people, including Kai, willing to stand by her side. And then with a soft expression, she admits that she does like Kai, but it is more admiration than love. Serena and Ayumi stare at Uka in concern, recognizing the truth that Uka won't say out loud. As Uka walks back to her classroom, a realization settles heavily in her heart. Both she and Serena are holding back their feelings for Kai. However, she convinces herself that Serena is the obvious choice for him. Upon entering the classroom, she overhears the boys talking to Kai, questioning him about his argument with Oguni. Uka pieces the situation together. Kai had gotten himself into trouble for Serena's sake. To her, This is confirmation. Kai's feelings for Serena have never truly disappeared. He still cares for her and enough to stand up for her despite the risks. A weight settles in her chest, but she makes a silent vow to herself. No matter what happens, she won't interfere. If Serena and Kai's feelings for each other resurface, she will step aside. By the end of the school day, the atmosphere is lively. Everyone is excited as the day also marks the beginning of their summer vacation. Some of her classmates are already making plans to attend a summer festival together. A group of boys invite Kai to go with them, teasing that he should take Uka along since they make such a good pair. Another classmate quickly corrects them, pointing out that while Kai and Uka are often seen together at school, they rarely spend time together outside of it. Instead, he speculates that Kai will likely go with Serena. Uka forces a smile and stands to leave, bidding Kai farewell until the next term. One summer morning, Uka leans against the railing of her balcony, staring up at the sky. The ache in her heart hasn't faded. She feels guilty for her feelings toward Kai, knowing that her presence must have hurt Serena. As she watches people dressed in colorful yukatas passing by, she suddenly remembers that it's the day of the summer festival. A vision forms in her mind of Kai and Serena, dressed in yukatas, walking side by side beneath the festival lights. They will look perfect together. Maybe if she sees them together with her own eyes, it will finally help her let go of her feelings. Just as she resolves to go, the sound of the doorbell startles her. She opens the door to find Ayumi standing there, offering her to attend the festival together. As the two girls head toward the festival grounds, they remain blissfully unaware that Kai is behind them. He had hoped to invite Uka out by himself, but it appears he is too late. Arriving at the festival, Uka and Ayumi take in the dazzling sights around them. Ayumi suggests they stroll around before deciding what to do and eat. She has chosen to spend the evening solely with Uka, not wanting Satoru or any of their friends to stop them from talking. Ayumi knows that Uka is struggling with her feelings for Kai, but she also knows that Uka will never openly admit to them. A sudden wave of murmurs sweeps through the crowd as a stunning figure catches everyone's attention. People pause mid-step, some whispering in admiration. Curious, Uka cranes her neck to see what has captivated them and spots Serena among the festival goers. What surprises her even more is that Serena is not with Kai, but with a friend. As Uka watches, she catches snippets of their conversation, her heart skipping a beat at the words that drift through the air. The realization that Kai has supposedly chosen her over Serena hits her like a tidal wave. Before she can dwell on it further, Ayumi returns, her hands holding brightly colored cotton candy meant for them to share. Before she can even hand one to Uka, Satoru appears, disrupting the moment with his sudden arrival. His insistence on spending time with Ayumi forces her to divert her attention, driving him away in frustration and leaving Uka alone once more. Feeling increasingly out of place, Uka drifts aimlessly through the festival. Her mind is clouded with conflicting emotions, and with every step, the noise of the festival grows distant. The guilt pressing against her chest tightens until it becomes unbearable. Just as her thoughts begin to spiral, a familiar voice calls out to her from behind. Panic grips her as she sees Kai's face, and before she can stop herself, she bolts. Kai immediately follows, confusion etched across his face as he chases after her. When he finally catches up to her, his concern only deepens as he notices the tears in her eyes. Gently, he reaches out and wipes them away. Uka hastily insists that they are tears of joy, attempting to mask her true emotions, but her words ring hollow even to herself. She takes a step forward, intending to leave, but Kai holds onto her hand, refusing to let her disappear so easily. He reminds her of how hard it is to get a hold of her, since they haven't exchanged contacts, and he admits to feeling uneasy when she says that she wouldn't be seeing him the whole summer. Challenging her to shake him off if she truly doesn't want him by her side, he waits. The moment stretches unbearably long as Uka wrestles with herself. Finally, she pulls away as she claims she needs to find Serena, wanting to clear something up with her. Back at the festival, she searches for Serena and Ayumi, desperation fueling her steps. When she finally finds them, she doesn't hesitate. With her heart pounding, she confesses the truth that she still loves Kai. Serena's response is warm and understanding, her expression filled with quiet relief. She had already known and already seen what Uka had been trying to deny. There is no resentment, only acceptance. Together, they make a promise to be honest with each other, no matter how difficult it may be, and love Kai with all that they have. As Uka's emotions finally overflow, the first firework bursts in the sky, illuminating the three of them in its glow. Ayumi also begins to tear up, finally relieved that they can all still remain friends. The sun is bright and a few clouds drift across the sky. Uka is on the beach. The place is crowded and the noise makes her uneasy. Ayumi invited her along with a few classmates, all dressed in bikinis. Their confidence and beauty leave Uka in quiet admiration. Unlike them, she sticks to her shirt and shorts, unwilling to wear something so revealing. Kai, Tomoya, and Satoru walk up to her, all shirtless. Seeing Kai like that makes her nervous, and she quickly looks away. He doesn't think much of it, telling her to just get over it. Luka knows the truth, she likes him. She just has to accept it. While the other girls play in the pool, Luka sits quietly in the sand under the shade. When they approach her, Mio suggests they buy drinks, but she suddenly stops, noticing someone. Oguni, a blonde girl, is nearby, and this immediately unsettles them. Their priority is protecting Serena. Wanting to help, Luka volunteers, but Kai steps in, telling her to stay out of it. He insists that she has nothing to do with the situation between Serena and Oguni, though he means to defend her. His words make Uka feel unwanted, so she decides to leave and wander alone. Before she can go, Ayumi stops her, worried she might get lost. She offers her phone, but to their surprise, Uka pulls out a pink mobile phone of her own. They exchange numbers, and Serena excitedly saves her number and names it Twinsies, even naming their group the Kai Club. It's a 2-member club, and though Ayumi questions it, Serena firmly states they don't need more members. Just as Uka is about to feel sorry for being the other member of the group, Serena cuts her off, saying her negativity is showing. She should always be open and proud. Meanwhile, Kai sips his favorite lemon soda, enjoying a rare moment of peace. That is, until 2 guys approach him, bringing up a rumor that he had lovingly stroked Uka's face during the culture festival. The question catches him so off guard that he spits out his drink, coughing uncontrollably. The guys press on, telling him there's no need to look after Uka outside of school, pointing out how unfair it seems to Serena. They push him to be clear about his feelings. Does he like Serena or Uka? But the answer is obvious. Kai has only ever been protecting one person. The problem is, he's giving both of them the wrong impression. Uka stands by the shore, letting the wind play with her hair as she takes in the ocean view. It's been years since she last saw it, back when she visited with her parents in junior high. She had always avoided the beach, afraid of running into someone from school. But just like a bad dream coming to life, her bullies from junior high appear. They sneer, making side comments about how someone like her doesn't belong there, saying they don't want her around. The familiar sting of their words threatens to pull her back into old fears, but she remembers Kai's words. She promised herself she wouldn't run away anymore. Summoning her courage, she calls out to them. She tries to talk to them normally, which only unsettles them. Instead of backing down, she follows, determined to face them head-on. That's when she learns that Remy no longer studies at Hachimitsu High. She left because seeing Uka there made her uncomfortable. Before Uka can fully process this, 3 guys approach. They're the same ones who used to make fun of her, Remy's boyfriend among them. But the moment they hear that Kai is at the beach with her, their confidence wavers and fear flickers in their expressions. Remy seems surprised that Uka is still close with Kai after all this time, but in the end, she simply shrugs it off. She doesn't care anymore. Hearing this, Uka can't help but smile. It feels like she's finally broken free from their hold. From a distance, Ayumi and Yuru watch the scene unfold, ready to step in if needed. But it's clear, Uka can handle this on her own. Serena, observing everything, feels something shift inside her. If Uka can let go of the past, maybe she should too. Just as she gathers the courage to bring it up with Kai, he cuts her off. He has something he wants to talk to her about. Uka watches as Serena and Kai walk toward a quieter part of the beach. Serena is the first to speak, finally voicing the feelings she had kept for so long. She confesses that Kai has always been difficult to read, which led her to misunderstand things during the last break. She once believed she was important to him, but now she realizes she was wrong. Kai had only acted the way he did because Uka was involved. Even so, Serena forces herself to ask the one question she had feared since junior high, whether Kai ever had feelings for her. His answer is yes, but there's hesitation in his voice. After everything that happened between them, he was unable to tell her his feelings back then. But Serena already knows. Without waiting for further explanation, she turns and walks away, not giving Kai the chance to say anything more. Serena walks away, discreetly wiping her tears. Though she puts on a cheerful front in front of Kai, the truth is, his words have hurt her. Behind a nearby rock, Ayumi and 2 others secretly watch, shocked to see Serena crying as she walks away. When Serena glances back and catches them spying, they immediately apologize and try to comfort her. Despite everything, Serena insists that Kai's words don't matter anymore. To her, this is the sign she needed. It's finally time to move on. Uka sits quietly under the shade of an umbrella, sitting in the sand. When she notices Kai approaching, she doesn't wait for him to reach her. She stands up immediately to meet him. Kai makes a lighthearted joke about her getting used to seeing so much skin now, but before she can respond, 2 guys suddenly step in, questioning him about rejecting Serena earlier. The comment catches Uka off guard, and she finds herself asking the same thing. He explains that feelings aren't something they can choose, nor do they always require action. On her way home, Serena sends a text to Uka, not wanting her to worry about her sudden disappearance. Meanwhile, Serena's friend finally breaks down, frustrated that everything seems to revolve around Uka now. She can't understand why Kai no longer seems like himself whenever Uka is around. But Serena takes it lightly. While being with Kai made her weaker, Uka was the opposite. She only grew stronger. Not long after, Uka's reply comes in, making Serena giggle. It's a long paragraph filled with apologies, classic Uka. Her friend, curious about what Serena could have sent to get that kind of response, asks to see the message. Without hesitation, Serena hands over her phone. The screen displays a short yet meaningful text. "I'm glad that you're the other member." Uka feels the same way towards Serena. If anything, she thinks she should have been the one to say it first. Later that night, while Uka is studying in her room, she receives a message from Ayumi and quickly responds. She's happy to see Ayumi replying with the same enthusiasm and joy. After years of having no friends, she's getting used to texting Ayumi and Serena, slowly getting to know them better. Ayumi enjoys being spoiled while Serena constantly asks about Kai and Uka. Uka isn't sure why Serena keeps involving herself, but she doesn't dwell on it too much. She realizes she wants Kai's number too, getting it means asking him directly. The thought makes her hesitate. Doubt creeps in, but she shakes it off, deciding to go for a walk instead. Just as she's about to step outside, her father catches her. When she tells him she's heading to the bookstore, he looks surprised to see her so cheerful and optimistic, even rejecting her father's offer to bring her there. As Uka steps outside, she realizes she already misses Kai. But with the break coming to an end soon, she pushes the thought aside and heads toward the bookstore. Meanwhile, Kai is hanging out with his friends, effortlessly drawing attention from girls nearby. While they chat about school in the break, he remains distracted, responding to their conversations with short, blunt replies. From a distance, he spots Uka making her way up the stairs to the bookstore. Without a word, he shoves his hands into his pockets and starts walking in that direction. His friends call after him, asking where he's going, but he doesn't bother answering. Their conversation shifts back to his rejection of Serena, and they begin to wonder, does Kai already have someone else in mind? Inside the bookstore, Uka reaches for a book her mother likes, but before she can grab it, another hand gets there first. Turning to see who it is, she freezes in shock. It's Kai. He hands her the book, casually telling her there's no need to look so surprised. Later that day, they find themselves at a cafe drinking lemonade. Uka still can't believe she's here with Kai. She steals glances at him, unable to hide her admiration, but each time he looks back, she quickly averts her gaze. Their conversation flows naturally until Kai brings up the beach, curious about what Uka talked about with her old bullies. She tells him everything, including the fact that Remy dropped out of school, but Kai isn't surprised, he already knew. He reassures her that losing track of her bullies is a sign she no longer lives in fear the way she used to. But Uka admits she was never really worried about them. What matters more to her is catching up with Kai. To her surprise, he doesn't seem irritated by this. Instead, he simply asks if she's been spending time with the other girls too. Uka hesitates, admitting she's afraid to ask them out, but Kai encourages her, saying it's worth it. At the very least, she's keeping in touch with them through messages. Before their conversation can continue, Kai's friends call out to him. Without much choice, he gets up to leave, leaving Uka behind to finish her lemonade alone. Before Kai can get far, Uka realizes she forgot to ask for his number. This is her one chance to get it, or she will not have it until summer ends. When she follows behind him, she's shocked to see a girl clinging to Kai, holding him in his arms and shoulders. This makes her stop and hesitate for a while, but she continues to ask. The girl wonders who she is, but Kai is only waiting for her to ask. He also wants to swap numbers. Taking her phone, he's about to enter his number when he notices she's using Lime. Uka, worried he might judge her, quickly explains that her dad bought it for her. Instead of saving his number right away, Kai suggests she ask her father if they can connect through Lime. Until then, they'll just text each other. Before leaving, he tells her to stand firmer and be fearless from now on. He also insists that if anything goes wrong, she should call him first. Without hesitation, Uka nods, instantly agreeing. When Uka gets home, her father immediately comments on how happy she looks. She's about to ask him if she can use Lime with Kai, but before she can, her mother interrupts, calmly telling her that if she wants to go out shopping, she should have asked his father to take her after all. Carrying all those books can be heavy. Her father, however, laughs and tells her mother that Uka has turned down his offer, just like how she used to avoid watching fireworks or going to the beach. But this year was different. She went to all of them with her friends. While he sees this as a good thing, he admits that it also made him feel a little lonely, as if she no longer needed him. Uka pauses, reflecting on his words. Uka's childhood memories flash back. She was always praised, the well-behaved girl who received endless compliments. Her parents were proud yet overprotective, shielding her from anything risky, even simple tasks like holding a knife or carrying something heavy. When nominated as class representative, her father refused, fearing it would stress her or take up too much of her time. For 15 years, she lived a sheltered life, safe but suffocatingly small, longing for something more. The summer vacation has ended and it's back to school time. Ayumi greets Uka with a big hug upon seeing her in class, but Uka is too flustered to react, turning completely red. Shortly after, their instructor enters the classroom, welcoming them back before noticing Kai's absence. He calls his name, but there's no response. Just as frustration begins to show on his face, suspecting Kai might have dropped out, Kai strolls in and nonchalantly reassures him that he hasn't. When someone in class asks if he overslept, Kai briefly confirms before taking his seat. Suddenly, Uka is caught off guard when Kai turns to her and casually greets her with a good morning. Flustered but excited, she responds with enthusiasm. Kai remarks that his morning wouldn't feel complete without greeting Uka, a statement the class wholeheartedly agrees with. To them, Uka is like their personal Jizo, always sitting in a prayer pose, watching over them. Kai casually chats with Uka, commenting that the second semester is off to a good start. Uka tries to respond cheerfully, but her father's words suddenly echo in her mind. Ever since their conversation about how she no longer seems to need him, she hasn't dared to bring up the topic of asking for permission to line with Kai again. That day, school ended early, giving students extra free time. Uka, along with Ayumi, Yuru, and Mocha, walks together outside the school gates. Yuru suggests they go to karaoke for a while, wanting to hang out with Uka at least once a week. Upon arriving at the karaoke place, Uka curiously explores the booths and drink bar, taking in the atmosphere. As she looks around, Kai approaches her, reminding her not to wander off and get lost. Mid-sentence, he yawns, catching Uka's attention. She wonders if he didn't get enough sleep. To her surprise, Kai casually replies that he was up thinking about her. Uka's face instantly flushes, her eyes widening in shock, but before she can react, Kai tells her he is just joking. As Ayumi calls out to Uka, urging her to go to their booth already, they pause upon noticing two girls in different uniforms being scolded by what seems to be their instructors. The girls look nervous as they try to apologize. Ayumi quietly mentions that they're from Shinsai High, a prestigious school with strict rules that forbid students from visiting places like this. At that moment, her father's voice echoes in her mind once more. He had always insisted that Shinsai High was the best place for her. Not just for its excellent curriculum, but also because it was a girls-only school, ensuring she stayed out of trouble. However, Uka refused to comply when she deliberately turned in a blank test paper. This left her father no choice but to enroll her at Hachimitsu High. As Uka and her friends are going to their karaoke booth, her father and a colleague coincidentally pass by the establishment. The colleague scoffs at the sight of high schoolers hanging around, remarking how students these days are becoming too carefree, especially noting Ayumi's flashy accessories. Uka's father, initially indifferent, notices the familiar uniform and deduces that they must be from Hachimitsu High. His colleague nods in agreement, commenting on how lax the school's rules seem to be. But just as the conversation lulls, his eyes land on Uka, who is now with Ayumi and Kai inside. In that instant, their eyes meet. Uka and her father both freeze in shock, neither one of them expects to see the other there. At that moment, Uka's mind is full of voices, her dad's words contradicted with that of Kai's. She is used to being so protected by her dad, but Kai makes her walk on her own. It feels like her world has turned upside down because of him, even her values have changed. She finds herself in a place that her dad purely disapproves of, although she's not trying to drive him away. Uka turns to Kai, asking him if she is betraying her dad by her actions. After all, her dad always wanted the best for her. At home, her dad arrives later than usual. As he steps inside, her mom greets him warmly at the front door, casually mentioning that Uka went to karaoke earlier. However, instead of sharing her enthusiasm, he remains expressionless, his mood unreadable. Without hesitation, he asks for Uka. When she appears, he wastes no time in commenting on her friends, how their flashy accessories and bold hairstyles make them look unruly. He had expected her to surround herself with respectable people. Uka immediately comes to her friend's defense, but her words do little to change his mind. His disapproval is firm. He thinks Hachimitsu High is a bad influence, and for her sake, she should transfer to a more suitable school. The next morning at school, Ayumi notices that Uka is still not in the classroom. It's unusual for her to be absent, so concern quickly spreads among their classmates. Unable to ignore the unease, they turn to their instructor, Mr. Abe, and ask if Uka will be missing class that day. At first, Mr. Abe avoids giving a direct answer, but after persistent questioning, he finally relents. With a heavy sigh, he informs them that Uka won't be attending for a while. Her father had approached him that morning, informing him that Uka would be transferring to another school. Meanwhile, Uka sits in her room, tears streaming down her face as she replays the conversation she had with her dad. His harsh words about Kai echoed in her mind, but what stood out even more was how she had defended him, how she told her father about all the ways Kai had helped her. For the first time in her life, she had stood up for herself, firmly declaring that he could no longer make decisions for her. Even she was shocked by the words that had escaped her lips. She had never spoken to her father that way before. In response, her father had decided she should take a break from school for the time being, giving her time to reflect on her choices. Back in school, the students continued pressing Mr. Abe for answers about Uka's sudden transfer. He explains that her father believes the school environment is unsuitable for her, but the students find it strange that he only came to this conclusion now. What shocks them even more is the claim that Uka is being bullied in class, something they all know isn't true. Outraged by the accusation, the class erupts in protest. Ayumi, unable to stay silent, stands up and firmly defends Uka, insisting that she would never speak ill of her classmates. Ayumi and a few of Uka's classmates catch her father just as he's about to go down the staircase. Desperate, Ayumi tries to explain that they never bullied Uka, but he refuses to listen, insisting that students from another section have already told him everything. When one of them points out that they are nothing like her junior high classmates, Uka's father dismisses the idea that she was ever bullied back then. He firmly believes that for 3 years, Uka always came home with a smile, so there was no way she suffered. His decision remains unchanged. He will transfer her no matter what. Frustrated, he urges them to return to class before walking toward his car. But what baffles them the most is the realization that Uka's father had no idea she was being bullied in junior high. In his car, Kai is already waiting. However, his surprise quickly turns into suspicion as he accuses Kai of brainwashing Uka. Kai firmly denies it, but her father remains unconvinced, demanding that he stay away from her. Instead of backing down, Kai meets his gaze and tells him he's caging her again. Later that night, Uka dreams of the admission list for Shinsei High being posted. Her parents beam with pride as they see her name among those who passed. However, when she spots Ayumi, Kai, and Satoru nearby, they act as if they don't recognize her. The unsettling feeling lingers until she jolts awake, relieved that it was only a dream. Her phone rings and Ayumi's name flashes on the screen. She answers eagerly, her heart lifting at the familiar voice. Ayumi, equally relieved, pleads with her not to transfer, her voice trembling with emotion. One by one, more classmates take turns speaking, urging Uka to stand her ground and not let her father dictate her future. Uka feels the weight of their words, her own emotions surfacing as tears threaten to fall. Just then, her father bursts into the room, snatching the phone from her hands. She watches helplessly as he grips it tightly. Desperate, she tries to explain how much her school and friends mean to her, her voice filled with sincerity. On the other end of the call, her friends hear everything. But her father sees it differently. He believes she is choosing them over him, that he no longer matters. Without another word, he turns away, still clutching her phone, leaving Uka behind in tears. Kai has been trying to reach Uka for a while, but his calls won't go through. Alone in her room, lost in thought, she suddenly hears a noise from her window. When she looks, she finds Kai standing outside, having come to see her late at night. Without hesitation, she opens the window, and the moment she sees him, the emotions she's been holding back overflow. She bursts into tears, crying to him like a child. Between sobs, she tells him everything, how her dad took her phone and how helpless she feels. In return, Kai shares what happened at school and how her father accused them of bullying her. Confusion swirls inside Uka. She doesn't know what to feel or who to prioritize. But Kai reassures her she doesn't have to choose. Both her father and her classmates are important, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep them both in her life. Seeing that she's steadier now and that she can handle things on her own, Kai turns to leave. The next day, Uka notices her dad isn't home. A sudden sense of urgency fills her, and she rushes out, determined to find him. Meanwhile, Ayumi is restless, racking her brain for a way to stop Uka from being transferred. She and a few classmates are preparing to confront Uka's father, hoping to make him reconsider. As they go over their plan, the conversation shifts to the fact that Uka never told her parents about the bullying she endured in junior high. The realization only strengthens Ayumi's resolve. She won't let Uka suffer in silence. At the same time, Uka reflects on her past choices. She had thought keeping the truth from her parents was the right thing to do, that sparing them the pain would make everything easier. But now she sees her mistake. Her silence only led to more misunderstandings. While Uka is out searching for her dad, her friends arrive at her house hoping to talk to him. Just right outside their home, Uka finally spots her father, and her friends are there as well. With a deep breath, she gathers her courage and tells him everything. How she had been bullied throughout junior high, how she never had friends, and how she never truly enjoyed school back then. Her mother is in tears, shaken by the revelation. Uka apologized for not telling them sooner, explaining that she didn't want them to worry. But before she can finish, her father interrupts. He asks when it all started, regret heavy in his tone. Remy, who had been listening quietly, steps forward. She confesses that she was Uka's main bully, explaining that they tormented her because she was always afraid of them. But things changed. During their conversation at the beach, she realized that Uka had grown stronger and more confident, all because of the people Uka met in Hachimitsu High. Uka turns to her father and reassures him she's capable of standing on her own. They don't need to worry anymore. Then, bowing deeply, she apologizes and declares her decision. She's going back to Hachimitsu High. Likewise, he unexpectedly lowers his own head and apologizes to her classmates, humbly asking them to take care of his daughter. One by one, her friends step forward, introducing themselves and expressing how much they cherish Uka. When Kai moves to stand beside her, he simply follows suit, introducing himself like the others. However, Uka's father looks directly at him and bluntly states that he hasn't approved of him yet. The following morning, Uka arrives at school far earlier than usual. She must have been so excited to go back to school. Clutching a flower vase in her hands, she reflects on the feeling this has happened before. Memories of her previous return to school play in her mind. Determined to avoid any awkwardness this time, she rehearses her apology for the trouble she has caused. However, her nerves get the best of her, and instead of words, a squeal escapes her lips. Before she can collect herself, Kai appears from behind, startling her enough that she stumbles to the floor. Kai, unfazed, greets her with a casual "good morning," barely sparing her a glance. He mentions how familiar this whole scene feels. Uka barely manages to respond before their classmates flood the doorway, greeting her enthusiastically. Their warm welcome catches her off guard, and though Uka tries to apologize for her absence, her friends preemptively cut her off. Their teacher soon joins in, sharing that Uka's father visited earlier that morning to thank her classmates in person. Apparently, his wife stopped him before he could embarrass himself further, a detail that earned a round of laughter from the group. Uka feels overwhelmed with gratitude, barely able to hold back her tears. That day, Mr. Abe rearranges the seating chart, assigning Uka to a seat in the back corner. She quickly notices that Kai's seat remains unchanged, now next to Marin, who eagerly chats away with him. Uka can't help but feel a pang of disappointment at no longer being seated beside Kai. Still, she smiles to herself, determined to accept the change. Later, Uka stays after class to catch up on everything she has missed. As she enters the classroom, she spots Kai still inside, fast asleep with his head buried in his arms. She pauses, watching him quietly. His peaceful face makes her wonder if he's getting enough rest at home. Though he often dozes off in class, she can't help but admire how pretty he looks. Memories of his words from earlier play in her mind, and in that moment, she realizes her feelings. She is in love with him. Lost in her thoughts, she gasps aloud when Kai suddenly stirs, lifting his head. Embarrassed, she panics as he asks for the time. It's already 4:30 p.m. Flustered, Uka tries to leave the room, unsure whether she has only confessed her feelings in her mind or has accidentally spoken them aloud. Before she can escape, Kai grabs her hand, stopping her. He questions where she's going before noticing the new seating chart, realizing they no longer sit together. Uka admits that she would have liked to remain beside him, to which Kai unexpectedly suggests she sit with him now since they are the only ones left in the room. Despite her longing to accept, Uka declines, insisting she wants to earn her place beside him from now on. On their way out, Kai mentions that their friends are out at karaoke. He explains that he was told to get her, so he has been waiting for her and intends to invite her along. Though it's already late, Kai encourages her to drop by, even if only to say hello. Uka shares that her curfew has been extended to 6 p.m., making it possible after all. Kai thanks her for waking him, admitting that otherwise he might have unintentionally stood their friends up. Curious, Uka asks why he has been sleeping in the classroom for so long. Kai explains he hasn't been visiting the storage room lately, so he becomes curious about how it's doing now. He mentions he plans to visit it during lunch the next day, prompting Uka to immediately volunteer to join him. Surprised, Kai asks what she would do if he refused. Uka smiles and tells him she will go anyway, even if it means staying completely silent. Deep down, she knows this is her chance to spend time with him now that they no longer sit together. Kai smiles at her answer. He is fine with it too. When they arrive at the karaoke place, Ayumi waves them down, her hand high in the air to catch their attention. As Uka and Kai walk inside, they notice Remy and her friends there too. Uka approaches them first, thanking Remy for what she said to her dad. Ryuri responds with a dry chuckle, remarking that she's surprised Uka still remembers her name. Uka calmly replies that she could never forget the names of her bullies, which leaves Remy amused. Turning to Uka's friends, Remy comments on how they all seem to be acting sweet as if nothing ever happened. Ayumi steps forward, emphasizing that Uka's feelings matter most and they'll support whatever decision she makes. Remy scoffs, claiming they're sugarcoating the truth. She then shifts her focus to Kai, questioning his whereabouts the previous night and implying she saw him with some questionable company. Kai remains quiet, ignoring her accusations. The classmates, growing uncomfortable with the tension, suggest leaving the situation behind. As they start walking away, Tomoya laughs softly, provoking Remy's frustration. In response, she lashes out, calling him revolting. Tomoya, unfazed, dismisses her with a smirk, calling her a second-rate girl. The following day, Kai appears at school with what looks like a new phone. He mentions his old one had flown out the window, and while some friends doubt his explanation, they realize it makes sense given that he lives on the 9th floor. The conversation shifts to Kai's living arrangements. They recall how he moved out of his old apartment after junior high, yet none of them have ever visited his current place. Uka observes Kai from a distance, noticing how his mood seems to fluctuate. One moment he's laughing, the next he's lost in thought. Whenever Uka glances away, Kai seems to vanish from sight. Curious, she rushes to the storage room only to find it taped off with caution tape. Mr. Abe comes near and says a student attempted to sneak in, and it was Kai who reported the incident. This leaves Uka feeling uncertain. Just as they seem to be getting closer, Kai now feels more distant than ever. Maybe she never really understood him after all. Back in class, Uka continues to dwell on Kai's behavior. The storage room was once his refuge, so his decision to report the incident puzzles her. As her thoughts spiral, Mr. Abe enters the room and calls for everyone's attention. Kai's absence is noticed by several students, and when asked about it, Mr. Abe admits he hasn't heard from him either. This sparks more concern among the class, especially since Kai's recent streak of perfect attendance made his absence unusual. Satoru decides to call Kai directly. The class listens closely as Kai's tired voice finally answers, explaining that he's just sleepy. The response brings some relief to his classmates, and they laugh it off. When asked if Mr. Abe will scold Kai, the teacher says he won't go easy on anyone else, earning a round of playful complaints from the students. Despite the lighthearted moment, whispers persist. Some classmates speculate that Kai's constant sleepiness is tied to Remy's earlier remarks. Rumors spread that he's mixed up with bad guys, possibly staying out all night. Even Satoru and Ayumi, his closest friends, remain clueless about what's going on with him. Despite their bond, Kai's true thoughts and actions remain a mystery to them all. Buka once again stands in front of the storage room, lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, Kai appears behind her. Without hesitation, he moves toward the storage room, ignoring the caution tape. He claims he forgot something and asks Uka to stand guard. The lock is broken, so Kai forces the door open. After retrieving whatever he needs, he leaves explaining that he doesn't have another sleeping spot. The storage room is just a whim since it's too dusty anyway. Deep down, Uka feels like Kai is deliberately trying to push her away. Her mind flashes back to when she first found the lemon soda bottle. But her thoughts are interrupted when Kai warns her not to find any more of those bottles. His words, along with the taped-off storage room, feel like a stop signal, his way of telling her to back off. After class, Uka hangs out with Ayumi, Satoru, and Serena. She asks if they've noticed Kai acting strange, but Ayumi says she hasn't seen anything unusual. This leads them to ask if something is wrong between Uka and Kai, but she tells them it's nothing. This leads Serena to recall how Kai always says it's nothing, even when it's clearly something significant, like when he dyed his hair. They agree that Kai often wears an emotionless mask and avoids deeper conversations, leaving people no choice but to give up and ignore it. Serena mentions that despite his stoic nature, Kai has the heart of a hero, yet those types often struggle to express their feelings openly. Walking alone down the silent pathways, Uka reflects on their words. While they're not wrong, the Kai she knows isn't emotionless at all. He laughs like a carefree child, often loses himself in thought, and carries a quiet sadness in his eyes. As she contemplates this, she spots him outside the window, alone, tucked away in a quiet corner. Kai's expressions are far from blank, he has lots of them. The next day, Uka approaches Kai in class and abruptly tells him she wants to know more about him. Shocked, Kai barely reacts before Uka bolts from the room. Determined to uncover what he's hiding, she tries to find an address written on a piece of paper. In a crowded and dimly lit area, Uka searches for him. Remy's words about Kai spending time with shady people echo in her mind. Eventually, Kai is working at what appears to be a sleek and upscale establishment. He's in a formal uniform, greeting guests and answering their questions. Many visitors seem drawn to his good looks and charm. While Uka tries to find her way closer, a group of men with questionable intentions notices her. They attempt to get her attention, making her feel uneasy. Meanwhile, Kai's coworkers mention that a girl from his school has been looking for him. When they describe Uka, Kai immediately rushes outside to find her. By now, one of the men is pressuring Uka to enter a car, claiming she must be Kai's stalker. Uka admits she's been following him, which only encourages the man to persist. His comments turn unsettling, and Uka realizes she needs to escape. Before she can act, Kai appears, visibly distressed. The man grabs Uka's wrist, asking if Kai will let them have her. Enraged, Kai grabs the man's neck, demanding he let Uka go. The man complies, and Kai grabs Uka's hand, pulling her away as they run down the street. Once they're far enough, they stop to catch their breath. Uka expects Kai to be angry, but instead he laughs, joking about her sudden role as his stalker. The tension eases, but Kai's tone soon turns serious. He admits he's been trying to create distance between them, though Uka demands a better explanation. When Kai asks what she thinks of him, Uka shares her honest thoughts, that he's kind, thoughtful, and selfless, yet burdened and sensitive. Her words seem to strike something deep within him, and Kai covers his face, overwhelmed. Memories of how he once described Uka resurface, from harsh insults to sincere admiration. Uka acknowledges her own flaws, admitting she's stubborn, but insists she's determined to stay by his side regardless of his desire for space. The next day, Uka feels anxious about seeing Kai again. When he arrives in class, she struggles to find the right words. Before she can speak, a classmate confronts Kai with a photo of him, taking the previous night with Uka beside him. Their classmates crowd around, curious and eager for gossip. Satoru and Ayumi are hurt that Kai kept his job a secret from them. While Marin demands to know the nature of his relationship with Uka, Kai confirms the photo's authenticity and apologizes to Satoru and Ayumi, but doesn't have time to explain everything. Kai leads Uka out of the classroom and toward the stairwell. As they ascend, caution tape lines the steps. At the top, a lemon soda bottle rests. Kai continues climbing and tells Uka to follow. She's really that stubborn. Hesitant, Uka follows, with Kai's hand guiding her. As they reach the rooftop together, they stand overlooking the view below. Uka reflects that the more she learns about Kai, the more she understands him. Kai turns to her, holding out his lemon soda, a silent gesture of his sincerity towards her.